Republican Party was successful this week in their bid to boot Liz Cheney out of leadership because she said that the election was legitimate. Biden won, Trump shouldn't be president, and it's kind of scary that he's telling all these lies to get people to turn against democracy. So she said that, they booted her out. And even though that was obviously explicitly why she was removed from leadership, Kevin McCarthy wants to reassure the nation that this isn't fundamentally about accepting the results of the election. Here he is.
The conference will decide, but I don't think anybody is questioning the legitimacy of the presidential election. I think that is all over with. We're sitting here with the president today.
Okay, so I have some thoughts about that. Nobody is questioning the legitimacy of the election, but Jason, what do you think about that? And this is the first we've spoken since they were successful in canceling Liz Cheney. So what are your thoughts on all this?
My thoughts on Liz Cheney are this. I think she's gone scorched earth talking about, saying, standing by how she feels, and good for her, right? People, this leans on before we actually got to where we are today with the presidency, with Kamala and Biden being in office, and it's a done deal. Like, that's what's happening, everyone. Here we are. That's the reality. People in the White House and people on the Hill were like, even though they were supporters of Trump and staunch Republicans or had these really archaic views about what politics should be and their views on that, they're like, guys, no, like the reality is that he lost. He lost. Like anyone in their right mind, anyone that has like two eyes and two ears and some common sense also knows that, hey, it's a wrap on Trump. The election's over. Let's keep it pushing. So good for Liz Cheney. As far as how I feel about her, I don't. But I think there's something to be said about standing in your truth and being realistic and not being afraid to say what we're all thinking in a time where it's kind of dangerous to be that. It's kind of dangerous to be that honest. It's kind of dangerous to put yourself out there because there's a myriad of different ways people can attack you, from social media to actually showing up at your house to actually, following you, trailing you. There's just a myriad of different ways that you can be in danger for being honest and true about what should be told that is honest and true. And of course, McCarthy is just being typical and trying to deflect and trying to save face. So, here we are. But again, kudos for Liz Cheney. And I don't think we've seen the last of her, even though she's been ousted. I love using that word. She was ousted and now she's speaking out. She's breaking her silence. I do think that they love to use that, breaks her silence. But I do think we haven't seen the last of her. I think she's gonna continue to keep speaking out on some platform.
Yeah, and I'd be fine with it being the last of her. But I was glad that she had this particular position, even if her motivations probably were not like as pure as I would hope. But she said the right thing. And by the way, you were talking about the potential consequences. Like, first of all, she's not the first person to be canceled for turning against Trump, so she knew that this was likely to come. Right. And we've seen in the past what happens when someone turns against Trump. He begins talking about them ad nauseum, emphasis on the nauseum, for literally years. And eventually someone whose hobbies include loving Trump and making pipe bombs takes an interest. That's what happens in America. So there is some danger to her, certainly also, in her career and possibly physically as well.
Well, career, right? Okay, so we've also seen on the flip positive money making New York Times #1 bestseller site. She can go on and write a revenge novel, much in the vein of Omarosa or what Bolton also wrote one as well about their experience in Scaramucci. All these people have become, quite financially well off going that route, and I would love to see her unfold and reveal what her experience throughout all of this, because we can watch television and we can find there's different ways of getting the experiences of those people who have been adjacent or very close to 45 in that whole situation. But there's something to be said, John, about when they put it down in written word and really go in depth about what happened behind those closed doors, that just lives on forever, because the news cycle is gonna go away. Liz Cheney is gonna become something of the past, but those books live on and still tell the story and are also indicative of what really went down. And we can go back and say, okay, well, it's to me, it just has legs. It has more longevity, if you will.
Yeah, I think that there's gonna be some interest in that, but I would say to the publishers, it's gonna take her like literally months to write or ghostwrite that thing. Well, in the meantime, my novel, which is about a mouse and a pangolin going on a magical adventure, is really a metaphor for the reshaping of the Republican Party. So you can snap that up and that'll tide you over until eventually her memoir comes out.
Wait, hold on, skirt.
Anyway.
You wrote a novel about, is this a young adult novel that, that featuring vampire? What is this novel about, John?
Vampire. It's probably too violent for young adult, but since it's about animals, it probably should be. Anyway, we'll talk more about that. I'm nearing the end, so it's very front and center in my mind.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.